This time on Custom Works, loads of fibreglass in a 60s style. Let's get to the workshop. Okay then, so once again, waiting for some parts, and guess what? It's gas parts on the meat wagon. That gas thing, at some point I will run through all of the sort of detail and minutiae of like law and all of that nonsense that has gone into that. Health and safety law isn't nonsense, I take that back. But oh my God, that has been so complicated. I could probably do, from now until the beginning of when I did these films, I could do it all on 8mm gas pipe and silly kitchen appliances for the back of vehicles. They're not silly, obviously they'll make delicious treats, but oh my God, it's technical. So while I'm waiting for them bits, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put the running board and that super cool stretched rear fender on the 60s truck. Now last time I didn't show you because I know I was gonna do it again, and I thought I'll probably do the other side like next week. Well, it's probably been about a year. I know these bits are in the mould, so I'm going to go have a look through the mould, so I can find the mould with the bits in, because it's been quite a while. So in the other part of the workshop, we have this pile of stuff, which is all the moulds that make the trucks. Now I might be selling at some point, I think. I think my time of these trucks is well and truly over. Somewhere in there is the bits, and already I can see we have the rear fender. So then, there is one glass rear fender out of the mould. Looks super wide. It's a little bit narrower, the 60s truck is. When you've got big jewelries on the back, that's probably what you need. So we've got that, just need the running board now. And here it is. Not even taken out the mould, still actually on the mould. It's been on the mould for like over a year. Ugh. Just before we leave this room in this place, yes, Formula Tron, F-Tron is still under here. You can see it's 24-inch wheels, it's big long nose, it's got that Lexus 1UZ in it, big V8, full roll cage, all of that. We will be coming back to this. Once the Mercedes is well underway after the 60s truck, we're going to roll F-Tron, Formula Tron into there and finish it. It's actually my car. But since lockdown, I've never touched it. So hopefully I'll be back on it soon. You will see it here. Right, and so the running board. So this I don't really know how this works. Are you meant to leave things in a mould for over a year? Anyway, let's see if we can get it out. As if by magic, a running board appears. Right, so one important thing to remember, you know, you've done moulding, is that blue stuff is going to be on your panels. So I'll just give them a wash down first, get all that off, because no fiberglass will stick to that blue stuff. You know, with the grinder you might get, you know, get it through to get a good key, but then the rest of the panel, you want all this done out the way before it fits on the vehicle. So what we're doing is washing it down with some fairy liquid. I'm genuinely out of breath, I'm doing it. Some fairy liquid, and then just hose it off, dry them off, fit them on the car. And of course, that blue stuff is mould release, and it releases from everything. So it's not what you want on if you're going over that with filler, fiberglass, paint, all that sort of thing. You don't want that stuff there. So now, as part of prepping these panels, what I'm doing, I'm going over with some 40 grit, really roughing up this gel coat, because we're going to chop this in half and stretch it like, I don't know, like 500-600 mils, something like that. So we need a good key for all the glass to stick to, and we'll be doing that to the running board as well. So I've cut this, split in half, and we're ready to sort of start piecing these bits together. Of course, this doesn't stick out anywhere near as much as it does on the pickup trucks, because we're probably not going to be running the big jewellery rear end on this. But there it is. It's all ready, and I'm going to start sort of positioning it in place. Let's do that. It's very dusty. I need to de-dust. Yeah. Okay, so I'm ready to bond the running board onto the car. I'm going to use some PU sealant, and I've got a good area just here that I can bond to. So I'll put that on, a few screws through, hold it there, and then I can still adjust it at the back. And to keep it off the floor to the sort of, is this a ride height? Park height. I've just put it on a piece of 3x2 at the back and just balanced it up. So it's sitting nice and level. I'm just got to fix it back, and then I can just alter this back bit as it needs to fit to the rear fender. But we're not there yet, so I'm not too bothered. And this will remain flexible, you know. I'll be able to make plenty of adjustment there. So then, on the glue, a few screws, and let's get to that rear fender. That's alright, that'll hold it for now, and we'll get everything at the back of the body lined up. At this point, I'm not bothered about bracings, brackets, anything like that. I'm just going to get it on, get it right, and get it just so it holds. Like, part of the rear of the car is held on with like one small bracket and a screw, but there's no point making a load of brackets. You don't know where things are going to fall. What you're better to do is glass everything together, then make your brackets after. And as well, for the underside and for the main sort of strength that's going to hold all this together will be in its frame that runs around the perimeter of the car, so it can properly drag in the road if it wants to. Same as we did on the meat wagon, and it really does make just everything a lot better rather than it just being a bit flappy at the bottom. Right, so what I'm doing at the minute, I'm just going to cut some bits of wood, put them under, prop the fiberglass up, you know, the panels, to see where it's got to go, bit of a shimmy round, you know, get it all lined up, that's it. I don't really know where this is going. I've cut some bits of wood, I might weld some tabs on, who knows, but just get it there, and then boom, ready for the glue. it both sides look the same. No, about the same. Doesn't matter. It's got to be near enough though. Always remember though, when building a car, you can never see both sides at the same time. Like, I know this is the asymmetric truck, but as far as bodies go, pretty much everything I've ever done's been a little bit asymmetric. You know, you're never going to get both sides dead right. None of Roth's cars were, none of Barris's cars were. If you start measuring that stuff, it would all fall to pieces like a cheap suit. You can never do it, so don't even try, because no one will ever notice. It literally doesn't matter. But I've taken some measurements, and to within 10 mil, I reckon this is about there. Lots of just bits of wood at the minute, and it's all just screws propped up off the floor and all like that. So what I need to do now is weld some brackets on, some bracketry going on that's actually holding this good, so that I can, using the wood as a former, I can bring some aluminium over here, screw that together, get this whole panel off, and then glass from the back all in, and make this again one piece, and a one piece wing, and then it will drop back on its mounts and it'll be a great job done. And remember, stuff like this falls under the category of mock it up before you cock it up. Always the better way to do it. Mock it up before you cock it up.
I feel a t-shirt coming on.
The mock it up before you cock it up t-shirt, yeah, it could be a big seller. Yeah. Together, it's in the right sort of position, meets up with the running board nicely. It's the same distance from there to there. You know what I mean? It's a bit there. And I've got this wooden framework. Now, the one thing I don't want is any wooden framework. So I'm going to mask all this up, and then I'm going to put a piece of aluminium over here. Last thing I want is a piece of aluminium as well. That'll be fitted in, and I'll cover this in aluminium. I might even do this in plastic, I don't know. Whatever I cover this up with to go over in the fiberglass though, I don't want it in there after, I want it out and gone. So I'm going to mask all this up so that nothing actually sticks to it in any sort of, meaningful way, and I can get rid of all this framework once this is back off the car. together. It's looking pretty good. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to key in along these edges. I'm going to drop some glass in. Glass over this, like I'm saying, that piece of wood will be gone in the end. It's not going to stay in there. And also, I'm not going to do anything to this. I'm not going to key it in or anything, because my betting is I'll just be able to rip that off the back of the fibreglass once it's set. So let's get that glass on, and then once that's set, let's get all of this back out of it. Right, and so what I've done is put these steel brackets in, and they're holding this where it needs to be, and also at the minute holding the panelling shape. Although now all this fibreglass is dry, and I can undo all those bolts, take this off. I know it's all right, and glass the inside to make it super strong. So what I'll do these screws. I think there's a screw down there. These bolts, lay it upside down. I'll get that piece of aluminium out that we put in before, and then glass the back. Right, so the rear fender is off the car, and here we've got it. A load of wood, this bit of alley, all screwed on it. So now what I want to do is try and get as many screws out as I can. Any I can't get out, I'll just cut the heads out on the front side of this and just get rid of all that stuff until I'm just left with this glass. And there we go, the aluminium is out, the wood is out, and I'm just going to go through there just to make sure that all of those screws are out, because the one thing you don't want is steel anywhere near any of this. It will rust inside the fibreglass, and then it will blister anything on the outside and ruin your paint job. So I'm just making sure there's no sort of bits like this, like a stray screw head, which will be like a time bomb underneath the paint. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to sand any sort of high spotty bits off. I'll just do that with a grinder, and then I'll rough up in here as well. Always worth roughing glass up. If like this, it's been dry for a long time. You know, there's no guarantee that the other glass is going to stick to it. And this is pretty smooth. You know, for the inside of a panel, this has been done nicely. Thank you very much, Kirsty. Yeah, you know, it's really good. So it might not stick. This is super smooth here. So rough that up with a grinder, and then we go on here, and we should be back with a considerably longer and just as strong rear fender. The rear fender is back in position. I've packed this out with a piece of dye bond, and I'll glass all of that in, this whole section where the joint is, and I've put that in there just because there's a really big dip. I don't want the glass to be that thick, certainly don't want the filler to be that thick, so I've just brought it out a little bit. I'll glass over all of that. And what we'll do is, yeah, I'll fill from here to here, and again, I'll stretch out a piece of plastic just like we did on the other side, and that will give us that line, and also give us that really lazy curve that both these rear fenders have got, so that they come back and the wings are out. You're looking good, sounding good, still not good enough for me. You're looking good, sounding good, still not good enough for me. You're looking. So, and after that really sort of manky, messy bit of fibreglass we did underneath, and we did a bit of fill in, and I've gone over this again in a couple of coats of coarse strand matte and resin. Now, there is filler under this, and once I'd stretched it, you know, this had a really big dip, so I've filled it out quite a bit. I even brought in a piece of dye bond in there because the dip was just too much to fill. I seem to have sort of got everything a bit like that. I need it to be there. But this happened on the other side as well. But how I always think is, yeah, you can fill and do filling that is probably ill-advised, but I always think as long as you go over it with 2 layers of fibreglass, then that sort of like zeroes it again, and you're good to work from there, filling up to the finish. So as far as structure and stretching the wing, that is it. All it needs now, load of filler, load of sanding, and then it'll all be good. And don't forget, we've got them cool golden Sahara wings to go up there, them cool double wings just like on the other side. But for now, that is stretched and it will be like that forever. I've also started glassing this side, and I've got a couple of coats of glass on. I keep dropping on it if I've mixed too much resin, put a bit more on, you know, that sort of thing. But this side is also coming together really well. This is all wet at the minute, but in there, the whole sort of, is it a pickup bed? I have no idea anymore. But all of that is rock solid now, and things are really starting to take shape, get strong, and get ready for that skimmer filler, sanding, primer, and then one day paint. Can you imagine actual paint on this? It's going to be amazing, but it's quite a way off yet, so we've just got a lot more fiberglass and mess before that. But for now, on this, that is it for this week. Okay then, so that is all we have time for. Another episode of Custom Works has passed, and we've done some other questionable things with fiberglass, and we'll be back next week to do it all again, because I don't care what anyone says, I'm doing it, and that's that. Anyway, in the meantime, as I always say, all the sort of admins are down to you. So we're talking comments, we're talking subscription, we're talking the bell end icon, we're talking all of that. You do that, and then I will be back next week. And don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Anyway, that's it for this week. I thank you very, very much, and good night.